This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Reporting from home, I'm Riley Smith. Today is Tuesday, October 7th of 2025, and we are so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I'll be talking with Southern Iowa LG Seeds agronomist Bryant Luers about what's going on here as we are approaching the later half of the harvest season, as well as disease that went into this year and what we can be doing to prepare for next year. We'll also have a check of the closing markets with Ethan Robson of agmarket.net. But first, here's my conversation with Bryant Luers, once again, a Southern Iowa LG Seeds agronomist. Bryant, what were some of the key takeaways of harvest this year?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. I'd say, as far as key takeaways so far, if I look at Southern Iowa, specifically Southeast Iowa, we got hammered pretty hard with Southern rust. And so I would say on average, corn yields are probably 20 to 40 bushel behind what we saw last year. So not terrible, but definitely not that really high record-setting type yield that we've seen for the last couple of years. If we look at beans, though, bean yields have been very steadily pretty good and consistent across a pretty broad geography. So pretty happy with bean yields, a little disappointed in corn yields. Our bar's just been set very high for the last few years.
And we know that disease has had a huge impact this year, especially we look at Southern rust being that top disease that growers were having to take care of, especially for corn. How is that impacting yields this year?
Absolutely. Southern rust has been the main yield robber this year. We saw a little bit of tar spot come in, a little bit of gray leaf spot and northern corn leaf blight, but nothing what I would call in bad, in any kind of bad manner. Southern rust is really the one that came in and robbed yield from us. And so what we're kind of seeing out there is, if you've got a susceptible product to Southern rust, and especially if it did not have a fungicide application on it, those are the ones that are getting hammered the hardest. So it's been kind of twofold questions with guys. Number one, do you have a product that's been good against Southern rust? If you can check that box, that's one good plus for you. And then the second question is, did it have fungicide? If you can check both those boxes, you're doing pretty good. If you can check one of those boxes, you're doing okay. And if you didn't check either of those, it's definitely suffered this year yield-wise.
And Bryant, are there any particular concerns that are out there for the remaining crop? I know that standability and lodging is one of those things that farmers will have to be keeping an eye out for.
For sure. Standability is not great out there in the countryside. And, back to the disease conversation here, it kind of all stems from that. So if you've got products that did get hammered hard with Southern rust, those would be the first ones I'd be out looking at. Prioritize those when it comes to corn harvest. But, along with some of those diseases, I saw a lot of anthracnose, a lot of crown rot this year. So a lot of stock diseases as well that are kind of getting overlooked just because they're a bit of a secondary disease. Not necessarily yield robbing like Southern rust was, but definitely hurting our stock and plant integrity out here as we move into mid to late harvest here. So yeah, if you've got susceptible products, please be out there checking them, prioritize those in harvest because stock quality in general, especially Southern Iowa, is not great.
And Brian, I know that there are some things to be keeping track of when it comes to crop scouting as well and taking notes and taking that data to make a plan for next growing season. What advice do you have for producers as they take care of that and look forward to 2026 already?
Yeah, I would just say every year's a learning experience for us if we make it that. And so Southern rust traditionally is not a disease that we deal with a whole lot in the central corn belt here. Knock on wood, hopefully we won't deal with it again for a while. But if we do, it's definitely something that's going to be in the back of everyone's mind as we move forward. I still do think, tar spot, especially as I look at Eastern Iowa, is probably the disease that we need to prioritize when we're making seed decisions going into 2026 and beyond. But Southern rust is going to be something that's going to creep into everyone's mind, as we look at launching a new class of products here for 2026 at LG Seeds. they're going to be pretty heavily screened for southern rust because we had a lot of opportunities to see that this year. So a lot of factors go into that. I would just say, look at what's affected your yields over the past 5 years on your farm. And that's probably what needs to be the heavy topics of conversation when you're picking products for 2026.
And you mentioned that seed lineup, Bryant. I know that LG Seeds is looking at a very exciting year for next year with some nice yield gains in the 2026 seed class. Tell us about some of the excitement that is being had with that yield class moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, in general, good excitement. I guess a couple products that I would highlight as far as new launches for us. 113-day LG 63C32 launching a Tricepta trait on that. It has looked phenomenal, winning a lot of plots out there. On the little bit earlier side there, LG 58C16, a double pro and conventional for us. Again, has been winning a lot of plots, looking really good across the broad geography. So pretty excited to see what these things are doing. We haven't got a ton of plots harvested yet, so looking forward to seeing a little more data points come in, but early indications look really good on some of this new lineup.
That again was Bryant Luers, an LG Seeds agronomist based in southern Iowa. We'll take a look at the closing markets next, but first, here's a word from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and it's time now to take a look at the closing markets with Ethan Robson of agmarket.net. First off, Ethan, what do we see going on in the grains today?
Yeah, over in the grains and oilseed side, it's kind of a mixed bag. You had Dees corn down 2.5 at 4.19 1/4. March down 2 3/4, 4.35 1/2. Soybeans down or up, 3 1/4 as well, 10.21. Trading both sides of 10.20 today. Wheat market taking it on the chin. December down 7, March down 6. December closed at 5.05 3/4, near contract lows. And so on the grain side today, going in blind with the government shutdown. Not much reports. USDA reports supposed to come out Thursday, I believe. Not expecting it to happen. No export sales this week either. Did have exports inspections yesterday. Corn remains the bright spot. Corn inspections remain strong. Soybeans, of course, without China, remain weak, and wheat exports continue to remain historically strong for this time of year.
I think something very interesting about that export inspections report coming out yesterday is that normally at this time of year, we're at the beginning of the marketing year, we wouldn't look at that too terribly hard. But the fact that there are no headlines to trade on, I think, made that a bigger deal.
Exactly, 100%. Some traders weren't expecting it to, didn't know if it would come out yesterday at 10 o'clock, and you check your phone and you got the notification that it did. So that was definitely something that the trade paid attention to a little bit more as well. And so that definitely plays a key into the markets. And then some of these private estimates as well. A couple of brokerage firms and firms in general released their what would have been the October WASI report if it doesn't come out, kind of the average trade estimates as well. And so the market's going to be paying close attention to the private side of these estimates. The U.S. corn and soybean yield is going to be big. And then overall, any type of news with China, U.S. Trump and Xi are expected to meet in South Korea, I think 3 or 4 weeks from now. So the trade's going to be expected to watch that closely.
Then over on the livestock side of things, how did cattle and hogs trade today?
Yeah, both cattle and live cattle and feeder cattle finished up higher today, so that was good to see. Reports that another case of New World screwworm down in Mexico, about 170 miles from the border, caught the trade off guard. Live cattle continue to edge higher every day. It seems like it's hard to bring it back down, and so trade's continuing to watch that New World screwworm case. Definitely don't want that in America, and that has to trade on the defensive side. Hogs, though, hogs in between technical support with the 50-day have resistance up against the 10 and 20-day as well. So it's going to be interesting to see on the hog side how they decide to react.
All right, Ethan, lots of great information today. For anyone who would like to get in touch with agmarket.net, how can they do that?
Yeah, give us a call here in Bloomington Normal, 1-800-779-1515. Visit us online, agmarket.net.
Appreciate your time as always, Ethan, and we look forward to getting more market analysis from you again soon.
Yep. Thank you. Have a great day.
That again was Ethan Robson of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how the numbers close through the market window at iowaagnet.com. At the close, December corn down 2 even at 4.19 3/4. November soybeans up 4 1/4 at 10.22 even. December soybean meal down 20 cents at 276.90. Soybean oil up 66 cents at 51.04. Chicago wheat down 6 even at 5.06 3/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat down 3 1/2 at 4.92 even. Minneapolis spring wheat down 4 1/2 at 5.52 even. December oats down 1 even at 2.87 3/4. On the Merc, October live cattle up $1.22 at 233.10. October feeders up 3.10 at 365.50. December lean hogs down $1.10 at 86.17. Pork cutout down 30 cents at 97.07. And October Class 3 milk up 13 cents at 17.16. That's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM, and that also brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content as well as previous episodes of AM/PM on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well to check out our free morning, midday, and closing market podcasts, as well as the Iowa Ag Matters podcast and Pods Potential. Find those on your favorite podcasting services at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and Podbean. Reporting from home today, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.